Welcome to the Emerge podcast, where Ronnie Doss shares insights regarding life, leadership, and personal development. For more of our resources, visit ronniedoss.com. Now, let's join the podcast.
Hey guys, it's Ronnie Doss. Welcome to the Emerge podcast. I want to start today by sharing with you a quote that I read recently by Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell led Parliament of England's armies during the English Civil War in the mid-1600s. But what he said I just think is so profound. Oliver Cromwell said, "He who stops being better stops being good. He who stops being better stops being good." And I am very clear that there is always something that we can work towards that helps to make us better. You know, I don't think it's just at the destination we arrive at. I think you can arrive at a destination, but it would be very sad to arrive at that place and have not gotten stronger along the way. Like somebody could pick you up, transport you, and drop you off at this place that you think you want to arrive at. We think we want to arrive at a number 10 marriage. We think we want to have perfect physical health. We think we want to have more money. And it would be something to have those things, but yet not have the strength to carry those things out continually. There's an old quote that says, we're not blessed by what we can get, we're blessed by what we can keep. And so if we were to arrive at some destination but not have built the stamina, so to speak, the strength, the capacity to be able to handle these things, I think we wind up losing it. And there's an old saying, I'm sharing a lot of quotes in this podcast, but an old saying that says, we impress people with our successes, but we impact them with our failures. And so I think that if we stop being better, we stop being good. I think that's a really powerful quote, considering that we always can do a little work to be better. There's something I can do right now. So the experience that I'm creating, I'm responsible for. The experience that I am manifesting within the circumstances that may be going on around me. Now, I might be able to judge the circumstances as difficult or easy. I might be able to judge them as severe. I may be able to judge them as mild. Whatever it is that I say, those are circumstances. But the experience that I create within those circumstances, they really don't have to have anything to do with one another. You know, so often we start thinking that our life is about all the circumstances. And I have just found over time in talking with people who have dealt with some very difficult and challenging things is that, you know, it's not about what we're seeing on the outside. It's ultimately about the narrative, the conversation that we're creating and allowing to happen on the inside. It's the old saying that I've said, you've heard me say it before in any of these podcasts, that the quality of your life is ultimately the quality of your internal dialogue or the narrative that you have going on. So if I want to get control of my life, what I've got to essentially get control of is the narrative, right? And so what I'm saying about myself, how I talk to me about me, how I talk to me about other people, how I talk to other people that I listen to that then I critique and then absorb and hash out. Everything that I'm saying, all the words that I hear, I'm actually hearing. And so whether the conversation is an external conversation or an internal conversation, whether it's a monologue or I would say a dialogue, either way, I'm hearing it. And so in all of this, I think what I want to get better at is creating a narrative that serves me, serves my family, serves the people that I believe that I am called to as a leader to infuse into their life some positivity and some goodness. Whatever that is, I want to get better at that. Because if I stop getting better thinking that I have arrived at some place, my life, I believe, starts to decline. And so I heard a quote years ago by John Maxwell, and he said, if you're answering more questions than you're asking, he said your influence and your leadership is already on the decline. And right now, you can look on social media and you will see so many people that have so many opinions, but so few questions. And questions are where we start to say, I want to learn from things that maybe I don't know, instead of trying to live off of what I already know. Because you know certain things, and that has been what has gotten you to what's gotten you to this point that you're at. And that's great. Thank goodness you made the choices that you've made to be able to survive. You're here. On the other hand, though, if there's somewhere that we want to get to that is then better, we must be willing to get control of some of the things that are going to fuel that experience that we would call better. And I think if you ask most people, and this is what I've done over the years, I've asked most people, what do you want? And some people say success, but I think deeper than that, they believe that success is going to equate more peace of mind. It's going to equate more love. It's going to equate more intimacy. It's going to equate to happiness. That's what they think success means. And so when they say, I just want to be successful, I think taking it a little deeper beneath the surface is a really important thing to do. And that's what I like to help people to do. People that I'm coaching, people that I'm working with, people that I know are listening to this or watching our videos. These are the kind of things that I think can help us. And by the way, if you haven't gotten the Boost videos, ronniedoss.com/boost, use promo code BOOST, and that makes those videos that we're creating now for this time that we're going through, it makes them absolutely free, promo code BOOST. So you can go to ronniedoss.com, look at the Boost product. You can go to ronniedoss.com/boost. But once you enter in that promo code BOOST, it makes them free. And so these videos, what I'm about is helping people to create a better experience by developing a better narrative in what they allow themselves to say. And so one of the things that I've said many times is that you have to be very careful about who you allow to describe you to you. Because once you allow somebody to describe you, you start listening long enough. What I know is that repetition becomes truth. If you listen to someone talk for too long about why we should hate on a certain type of person or why we should behave a certain way or do what we do, and this is the action steps that we should take, and they keep telling you over and over and over again, there may come a time where you start to believe it. And once you start to believe it because of repetition, then because of what you believe, you start to behave that way. And once you behave a certain way, that produces certain outcomes. And once you produce certain outcomes, your internal critic, which we all have, that voice inside our head, then starts to create a narrative that assesses that situation and says, well, this must be who we are now. And once you believe this is who you are, you believe something about yourself, you start having all these things on the outside that will align with that belief. You start to develop a bias, right? You start to believe that this is who I am. And so if this is who I am, I really don't see all the other things that could be counter to that, right? Unless there's a lot of repetition that keeps bombarding us with, maybe you should look at it this way, maybe you should look at it this way. But that's not typically what we do. We start to push against new information that might cause us to think differently about ourselves, even if what we have learned is through repetition and it may not be true. You see, false truths create circumstances that then could be deemed as true. And so you could believe something for long enough that you behave on that false belief long enough that it does produce a result that you could then look at and say, see, I knew I was right, when in fact, that might not necessarily be the case, right? And so you could say, well, certain types of people are mean, and because you believe that, you treat them a way that, let's say, is negative, you're oppressive, you're abusive, and then they respond and they start to resist and they come back on you and you're like, see, there they are. They're showing me that they're bad people. It's because you had a false truth that produced a result that then you can interpret as right. And this is what we do. And so we always want to be looking for this thing, as Cromwell's talking about, of how to be better. Because if we stop being better, we stop being good. And some people hear this, well, I don't want to be good, I want to be great. Well, then if you really want to be great, then you're going to have to do more than better. If you stop being better, then you stop being a lot better, then you're going to stop being great. And if you really want to be great in some area, you have to be willing to get clear on what that looks like, what it will look like for you to achieve that. And then ask yourself, what are the mindsets and the perspectives and the attitudes that I must bring to the process of achieving that thing? It's not so much about the thing because, as I said in the very beginning, you can get the thing and not have the capacity for it and lose it. And we don't want that because that can do a lot of harm to us. And so what do we want? We actually want to be better along the way. As I said, it would be sad to arrive at a destination, get to some place, and have not gotten stronger, better, wiser, and more efficient along the way. And I believe there is always another level for us. Our marriages can get better. Our physical health can get better. Our money can get better. Our outlook can get better. We can make it happen. And so we've got to be very careful about allowing some narrative within our mind, which may be a natural narrative that we picked up from our parents and our uncles and our aunts and our teachers and our coaches. There may be a negative slant to it. That may be our natural thing now because that was in our life for so long. But through repetition, through choice, And through real commitment and intention, we can start to allow some of those old beliefs to die, and we can keep moving in the direction of better. And I believe there is that level for all of us. I believe there's that level for you. And so maybe the challenge for you in this episode is that you look at the main areas of your life and you ask yourself, what would it look like if this were better? How would I feel if this challenge were no longer in front of me? What's that going to look like? What's it going to be like if my marriage were what I would say is better? What does that look like? Well, then you ask yourself, once you get a picture of that, what's the attitude and the perspective I can bring to this journey that will contribute to that better happening? And that's the process of better. And you're worth it. I think we're all worth it if we're willing to do the work. So let's do the work today. This is Ronnie Doss. I hope you got something awesome out of this. Go to my website, ronniedoss.com. Get those boost videos if you haven't. Thank you so much for listening to this. Please share it. We have so many downloads. Our numbers are going up. We're very proud of that. We're very happy that we're reaching people from around the world. I got actually a text today from a good friend of mine, and he was telling me that somebody from another country was listening and how much it's benefiting them, and they enjoy it. Guys, please keep sharing this, because especially right now, you never know what you can do for someone simply by sharing some information. And I fully believe in what I am sharing with you. I get to share it with a lot of people that I coach and teams that I work with. But this podcast, I'm really excited about this podcast and the impact that we're making. So again, please share it if you got anything out of it. Let us know. You can email my office, info@dossteam.com. You can follow us on social media as Ronnie Doss on Facebook. We're on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Do all that, but know that I appreciate you. I appreciate who you are, the difference that you're making. There's a lot of work for us to do. We're going to do it together, and I look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. Take care.